So, good evening, members. Rogers Mukalele is my name, and I want to thank the ICT Teachers Association of Uganda, Mr. Dumba, the national coordinator, and all other members who are joining us in this session. We are looking at HTML hypertext markup language, and this program here is an initiative by the national coordinator saying that we are in a holiday. Why can't we get some of these topics that some of the members may need upskilling, especially in preparation for next year, which we are teaching learners when the new curriculum is going to senior 3. There are some topics in the old curriculum we used not to teach, but this time we need to make sure that learners pass through our hands when they are competent, when they can be able to do what they have studied, not just passing exams. So HTML is a foundation of web design, and we need to be able to understand it well. We need to understand HTML very well, even when we are going to use other web authoring softwares. HTML is the foundation. So in what I have started with here on my screen, I hope members you can see. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay.
Yes, we can get you.
There is something
yes, we
here
can see it.
in the syllabus for web design. It says add content to the designed website, including forms and tables. This is one of the competencies that we expect learners to know to create forms and tables. These are the main areas that they talked about. In addition to other things, learners must know how to create forms and tables. And yesterday we were looking at, I think the previous lesson, we looked at tables. And today we want to look at forms. We want to look at forms so that we are understanding them very well. And once we do that, that will be good HTML knowledge. From there, you can go ahead and now introduce them to other web authoring tools. But at least when they have learned the foundation of HTML. And when we were learning yesterday, I told members about this thing called W3 schools. And I told you there is W3 schools. There is also another one called the Tutorials Point. Tutorials Point. They have good content when it comes to learning programming, but there are many other resources online. I normally see teachers saying, "Hey, we need notes. Who has notes for web design?" My friend, if you are a teacher, one of the things you are trained is to organize notes for your learners. So you should be able to go online and look at your syllabus, your scheme, and make notes or slides for your lesson. But if you have something like W3 schools, it can be good enough to help you, especially when it comes to programming. So in this W3 schools, I promised members, I'm going to be sharing a link later at the end of the lesson. This version here, the scrapped version, I'll be sharing with us the link. I've uploaded it on Shareability software. There's a page I created on Shareability. So I've uploaded it there. So I'll be sharing the link. Yeah, but for now, you can use it and many other resources. So let me just go to a section. We are going to do this practically. We are going to create some forms and we are going to look at some unit papers. There is actually a year where they set one, I think there were 2 pages when they wanted the learners to do a form. So this is a section for HTML forms on W3 schools. So a form is used to collect user input. we interact with the forms every time to enter information on a web page to submit our information. And it is used to capture user input. For example, there is a simple form here. First name, John, last name, Doe. So this is an example of a form. And in HTML, we use the form element. The form element, we use it to create an HTML form. So we normally have an opening tag, which is the form, and then a closing tag, /form. Okay, so that is basically what we normally have in that form element. And it is a container of different types of input elements. So we have what we call text fields, checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons, and others. So all those ones there are form what? Elements. There are very many form elements. Let me maybe first ask some. You see, I don't normally want to talk alone. Members, apart from these ones which are here, which other form elements do you know? Do you know of any other form element that is not here? Radio button, checkbox. Do you even know how they look like? Any member who knows any other form element? You can put it in the chat, or you can be able to unmute and say that we are interactive. So here on W3 Schools, there are several form elements which they have listed here. We have what we call the input, label, select, text area. So we are going to try out some of these and see how they look like. Here they are trying to show them to us. So we are going to try to see how we can do this. And I will also be telling you something small about, after designing your form, how do you make your data to enter the database? I'll just give that small to the teachers as a way forward, because you may learn to do your form and it's beautiful, but data can't go anywhere. After people fill in, that's all. Yeah, but that is an interesting thing. So there are several forms, and I want us to try out. In a paper here, there's a UNEB paper. This was 2020. Let me see, this was UNEB 2020. Okay, 2020. Let me see. So I have several UNEB. Let me get UNEB 2022. The one of this year. 2020 also had a question which required a form. 2022 also. So I'm using this because I know many of us are computer studies teachers. Let me just do this simple. Okay, so yeah, so like we did yesterday, I'm going to open that. Like we did yesterday, so I'm going to create a folder on the desktop, and let me call it forms. So this folder, it should be, let me call it website. Okay, so this is my desktop. I know there could be some members who are new. And then we talked about using an editor like Notepad, Notepad++. Okay, nice. So Notepad++ is open. This is our text editor that we are using. Okay, so I'm going to create an HTML structure. By now, members, I believe members know the layout of HTML. This one should be now of head. Yeah? So, okay, so this is my HTML structure. Okay, so inside the head, I have my title. Okay, And inside the body is where I'm going to put my form. So I'm going to start with the heading 1, and I say registration. Okay, registration. Registration. So I'm going to say H2. Registration form. Okay, so I'm saving this as registration.html. I don't know whether I'm fast there. I believe if members have been attending from the first lecture, the first lesson under this series, you should be not having a problem. So I'm saving this inside the folder called website. It is called registration.html. HTML is a file extension for a web page. And then I'm clicking on save. Okay, so if you are using a text editor like Notepad++, you should be able to, okay, you should be able to have code highlighting here. So I have my head, my title, my body, heading. This one is supposed to close correctly. Heading 1. Okay, and then I have my body here. And Mr. Domba, I think towards the end, I'm going to give some simple quiz because I don't want members, let me try to work through this form within like 30 minutes because I'm seeing time has gone. And then I see if I can put some simple quiz at the end. And I see if members can be able to pass it. Because today is the 50th day. Yeah. So we have our form there. So I'm going to open this in my website, in my browser. I open the HTML file, and then I have this. This is what I'm having as my output. Members, is there a problem there so far? Is there any query so far? This is the HTML, and this is the, let me ask someone, how do I reveal the HTML behind the web page in the browser? Which keyboard combination do I press? Which keyboard combination am I pressing? Control something to reveal the code behind the web page. Which keyboard combination? Because when we are marking as teachers, we may not necessarily even open the files in Notepad. You open the web page of the student in a browser, and you press some keyboard combination to look at the code if you are examining code. Anyone who knows the keyboard combination used to see the source code, the view, to see the source of the web page? Keyboard combination. It is
Ctrl+K, if I'm not mistaken.
Ctrl+K. Another trial. Ctrl+U. Thank you very much. So Sekate, Stephen, thank you. Ctrl+U. Ctrl+U will reveal for you the code behind a web page. Okay, so there is also so this is this one here was the form that was in the INEB paper for 2022. They wanted a form, a booking form, which had these attributes here: name, address, gender. So this is these are some of the objects, form elements, and there is this one which is a drop down, and then there is this one, there is this one, there is this one. Okay, so let us look at some of these form elements before I look at that number. So like I said that you start with the form, okay? You start with form like that. Then after doing that form, you are ready to go. You can now put in your elements. So the first element, according to our W3 schools here, we have the input element. So the input element, ideally, we use this kind of code. We use input type is equal to text, Now there is this ID. ID may not be very vital here, and even the name may not be very vital, but they will be used if we are submitting our data to the database. We may reference this. I can. I was actually thinking of opening. It is another form I created in the PHP, which submits data, but I think that will be taking you very fast. If I'm to show you even that part, I desire to show you, but for now, let us design the form. So even if I say input type is equal to text, okay, without putting the other attributes, input type is equal to text. So if I do that, it is going to create for me a form here on the browser. It is going to put what I call a text input text, a text box for me to enter something. Okay, so that is input type is equal to text, and you can be able to put something also inside. There is some attribute you can use for. Which attribute do I use if I want to put in something inside this? I may want to put something inside this text box, a word inside here to guide the person on what I need. In that case, I may use what you call placeholder. So I can say placeholder and I say enter name. Okay, let me try that and see. So I say placeholder. So you can see, I hope you can see. Enter name is now a placeholder inside my text box. So someone can put here and say Rogers. Okay, so placeholder attribute is important. You could decide to put a placeholder within the text box, or you can decide to put a label outside before the text box. And that's what they are showing us here on W3 schools. So you have your label. You can have a label. This label is usually paired with input. So you can say label, and then if you are to have label element, then you will have to give this thing a name. So I'll come and say name is equal to fname. Okay. So I'll have label for name. So this input, I've given it a name. And this name, later on when we are trying to submit our data to the database, if we are to, because the form of course is supposed to be submitted. If we are to submit our data to data, HTML alone cannot do it. You will require another language called PHP. But that one is out of scope for our learners, and I would encourage members to learn it also. So if you are to do submit, still we shall be able to refer to the input by its name and say that then the data which has been entered in this input box should be able to be entered into this field in the database. So the name is an identifier for an element in a form. So when I say label for fname and I say first name, or I can say enter name or first name, then my label is also going to be there on my web page. I don't know whether I'm moving fast. Let me first ask members. So are you seeing that? First name has come here, and then I have my text box there. So members, I don't know whether you have any questions so far. Do you have any questions so far? So we have a label. Have you understood what we call a label? Have you understood the 4 attributes? This is an attribute. So in every HTML element, you have an element.
Mr. Bed.
And then you have that. Yes, we
Mr.
have.
Bed has a question.
Yes, question.
I just wanted some more highlight on the label and first name.
Okay,
I've
so
not understood there.
so what I'm saying is actually the labels they normally go hand in hand with the form elements, but the labels are optional. They are really not compulsory. You can actually create your form without putting the labels, and then you just maybe use a table and you see how you can organize your content. So this label element, usually when we use the label, we say label for what? So if I remove it, if I remove this label, I will have a form, but I don't know what to enter there. I have here, anyway, here I say the enter name. Okay, here I had to put a placeholder. So you can decide to use the labels, or you can decide to use the placeholders, but they are just to direct the user on what to enter there. So maybe for now, let me first do this. I'm going to introduce the labels. On WT schools, you see the labels coming. And I was also talking about this name attribute also. These ones are also a bit advanced. Let me first do this. Let me first do it basic. I will add in these attributes later. Let me first do it in a very basic way. Let me just use the placeholders. I can use the placeholder and then yeah, so let me have the placeholder there. Okay, so Mile, you have a question? Mile, you have a question?
For clarity, you created the label for F name, then you went in the input tag, and you say the name is equal to F name. Does that mean that the name attribute is naming our text box F name for which the label is to be associated?
Yes, the F name was a name for this input. And I said the name, if you are putting the name attribute on an element in a form, it is for you to be able to refer to it. Even later on when you are submitting data to the database, you'll be able to pick data from a given element. But for now, let us first do this. Let us first create the form, and then I'll get back there because members have not yet even seen the form element. So I have input type is equal to text. So here I want to create, let me try to create this. Let me just try to create this form here, which I created in to make things simple. Let me make this form. Let me create this form here, which I created here on the website. So I have this name, I have address, I have gender, I have room to. So then I have these labels here. So for now, let me do it in a simple way. So I'm going to have my, let me put these things. I was putting them in a label. Let me put them in let me use a label still. Let me use a label because the label is what is most suitable to use. You can use paragraphs, you can use whatever you want, but in a form, a label is good. So let me say label. Let me just say label, and then I say label, and I say in this case, I was creating let me do it side by side, that members can see what I'm doing here. And by the way, it is something I would tell you to do, and you to do it even immediately during this session. So, so I'm going to come and say, I'm creating my form. So I'm having a label, and then I'm going to say name. Okay. And then I have my label. Okay, so this is a label. Let me just call it a label. Then After putting my label there, I'm going to come and I say address. Okay, so address is also address. So I can come in the placeholder, I say address. Okay, so far I have these two. Now I want you to look at this. If you look at this, you realize that my content is just continuing. The input boxes are inline elements. In HTML, we have what we call block elements and what we call inline elements. Block elements are those which each one sits on its own line. If you put them, they will just continue without breaking the line. But so these ones are known as inline elements. So you find that I've said name, enter name, address, enter. If I continue to just continue like that, they are inline elements. But if I was doing paragraphs or if I was using headings, it would make them block elements. Even these labels here are actually inline elements. If I come and I say, instead of label and I say paragraph, let me just do that because we are learning here. So let me change these labels to paragraphs. Paragraphs are block elements. So they are going to break our content. A paragraph, where a paragraph sits, it takes on the entire line. It cannot, another element will be on the next line. So we have what we call paragraphs. Paragraphs are block elements and the other ones are inline elements. I don't know if members have understood difference between inline elements and block elements. So a paragraph, then an input is there, then I have put this. Let me first use the paragraphs there. So I'm continuing. I want to create this form. So they are asking me here, there is what we call gender. Now gender, you see these things here. They are, when I click on this, it switches like this. So with gender, which element am I going to use here to create this? Which element am I going to use? Which form element am I going to use for gender?
Radio button.
Radio button, thank you. So I'm going to have, and these things are very beautiful. I can even copy code. So I can say gender. Okay. Now here, type is going to be radio. Now here, there is no placeholder in the radio button. But there's no placeholder. So I'm going to say gender input type is equal to radio. So if I do that, it is going to put for me this radio button here. You see? But I want to. So I'm going to say F and then M. Okay, so I'm going to put 2. I'm going to put F and then M. Okay, let me just put them there like that. I could put them in a span or in something else. Now look here. How can I solve this problem? When I click on F, it selects all. For example, if this was a stream, if this one was a stream, and I have, which streams do we have? We have east, north, we have east, north, and we have what? We have south. Okay, so east, north, input. Okay, so if I had 3, so you see that the child is supposed to select only one of those three. How do I make it that once I select one stream, the other is deselected? So my friend here, Mr. Sensali, some members are asking questions here in the chat. Labels are like field names in the database. My view labels in HTML like the ones in database forms. Some of us we found. So I'll be responding some of these comments in the chat. The label issue, I'll talk about it more. I wanted to find out connecting this to, because I have a form also which is connected with the PHP, but let me just remain with the form here, simple. So how do we solve that problem? That's the question on the floor. How do we solve the problem so that the radio button selects only one option in a group? Anyone to give it a try? Anyone to give it a try? Okay, I think I can proceed. Let me proceed with let me proceed. So to solve that problem, we are going to use the name attribute, which I told you earlier, which helps to identify. So we are going to say name is equal to stream. If it was gender, so once I say name is equal to stream, I will put the same name on all these three because they are related radio buttons. So the browser will know that this one here is a set. This one is a set. So once I select one, the other cannot be selected. If they have the same name, this is a set of radio buttons. The name attribute is important in identifying inputs or elements in a form. And it's the same we shall also be using if you have to submit your data to a database. So for now, we use name, we add the name attribute, name. So we say input type radio, name stream. Then we put there our east. Input type radio, name stream, our north. Input type radio, names stream. So we have the same name stream, and then we have our S. This text here can be in a label, it can be in a span, it can be styled in a different way, but should be close to the input after the input boxes. Okay, so if you have anything, members, you can put in the chat or whatever. We'll proceed. Okay, so I have what? What do I have? Here I had room type, which is the text box. Now let me go to type of payment. Type of payment here. Type of payment here is we use what we call a select, and select has options. So drop down, we use the select. So I'm going to say select. Okay, so select. So here, for me, let me call it type of payment. Can call it religion. Can call it anything. So I'm going to have my type of payment is going to be in a paragraph, type of payment. Okay. Then inside the select, I will put options. So options, the options that you want to put inside. So I can say MTN, Airtel, UTL. Okay, so I put options inside the select. So you can see here down, type of payment. I have MTN, Airtel, and what? UTL. These ones are inside. This is a drop down. The drop down, we use what we call the select. Select here. And you can also give it a name so that it can be captured. But so for now, we have that. So what's the difference between a select and then a checkbox? With the checkbox also is similar, but for it, we use with it, we are going to have those boxes when they are ticking. So let me just go back here. We are looking at some of the form elements. Let me first go back to our W3 schools here. So on W3 schools, they will explain to you the label elements. They're telling you just a label for screen readers and for labeling the elements. And the attribute for the label tag should be the attribute of the input element to bind them together. So actually here, label tag, we use the ID. Okay, but like I said, label is not compulsory. You may put your labels in text boxes, if in spans, in paragraphs, the way I'm doing, but labels are what you use most. So this is what I've just been demonstrating, the select. So where I have options, and with these options, they're also putting the value. Now this value is what will be submitted into the database. And what is displayed here is what will be displayed on the browser. So the value is an optional value that you can put there. And so we have that. So we have the option, and you can have a lot of options there. Okay, so here they're also talking about use the size attribute to specify the number of visible values. Visible values, size. You could be having very many, and you want some that can be visible. Let us try it here. So here I have 4. I have 4 attributes. Let me just run this. So I had my form there. I'm running another form here for choosing a car. And okay, so here you can see if you use size, how it will display it. How many do you want to display? How many do you want to display? So even for this one here, which I had created for here, if I had put the size attribute on the select tag, and then I say size is equal to 2, then it would, instead of showing me a drop down, it would bring a select box. So the size attribute is converting the drop down into a select, whereby someone can select an item from the items there. So if you don't put the size, then it will not do that. If you don't put the size, then it will just give you a drop down, and then you go ahead and you do. And members, what is funny, there's a paper of UNEB, I think it was 2017. There is some computer studies paper. They gave this, where they brought like a screenshot. See the way they set this web design, and I'm seeing this a lot, like in the new curriculum. The way they set the, I'm going to look for that paper and I also show it to you. The way they set the website number.
was 2017.
It was 20 what?
17.
2017. They can set
Yes.
in a simple way, like the way they set in here, the way they are setting in 2020, 2020. Do a form which does this, whereby learner will choose what to do. But they can bring a picture. Let me get that paper here. I think I have it here. Computer Studies. Studies 2017. Yeah, I think I'll get it. So they can bring a picture of or a screenshot of what they want. So if they bring a screenshot when it is showing this kind of thing, then the learner will have to do that. If it is like this, the learner will. And the way even other examination bodies like Cambridge, the way they set, they don't set sometimes the way we set. They set in such a way that you are okay. I don't know if I'm seeing that paper. 2017 Computer Studies Senior 4. I'm not seeing it here. Okay, I'm only seeing theory. Okay, so I'll get it and then I show it to you. Computer Studies 2017. Oh, Computer Studies 2017. I think it was a practical paper. Whether it is this one, whether this is a practical paper or theory paper. This could be a theory. Anyway, I have it somewhere, but I'll get it for you. So they can bring a screenshot and they set it in such a way that you have to do it, what you have to do. So let us proceed. This is theory paper. It's fine. I will get the practical. So we are looking at several input form elements. So we have the button element. Button element is very important and it goes together with that. But before I go to the button element, there is something known as the text area. Text area is in case you want to put there a bigger interest area for space. So I'm going to come here and I put my text area. Text area, and text area even has these options of rows and columns. Let me first remove the name. Rows and columns. So let me just say text area for now. Okay. And then I say placeholder. Let me try to put placeholder. You say enter details. Okay. Let me try to do this first. Text area is different from input in that for it, you can enter more text. So you can see here, this is my text area. Text area, the placeholder is not working with it. Text area for it, it has an opening and a closing. So you put the details in here. Enter details. Okay. Okay, so placeholder doesn't work with text area. Text area, then I put there. You see? So I can be able to enter my details in here. That's text area. Text area is in case you are going to capture like a comment or something bigger. That is another input. Okay, so that is the text area. Text area. So the rows and columns attribute specifies how big and how wide your text area should be. With the width and height of the text area. So if I add rows 15, columns 30, then it's going to adjust accordingly. See, it has become bigger. This is my text area. So you can specify how big your text area should be accordingly. Okay, so members, I'm seeing our time is really moving fast. So we have the text area. Then finally, we are going to have, this is last but not least, we can have what we call the button. And this button, you can say here that they are putting some JavaScript here. In the on-click element. Okay, so there are very many elements. These are the most important. So this one here is going to be for the submitting. Button type is equal to button type is equal to button on click. Now, this on click and all this is not very important, but let me just change this one. Entered. Success. Since it's successfully registered. Okay. This alert here, this on click alert, this is some inline JavaScript within our web page. So let me try to see. So if I say click me, is bringing this alert successfully registered. So this is that's what this one brings, this on click, but otherwise it's not very important. But you can use the button, but what we mostly use is input type is equal to submit. Input type is equal to submit. Okay, so input type is equal to submit, and then you can say, okay, you can say input type is equal to submit. Now, when you say input type is equal to submit, it is also going to create a button with the word submit query. Amelia, you have a hand up. Right now, I'm looking at the difference between.
Part of your notepad window is hidden. We are not seeing it on Zoom.
Maybe you have zoomed different away from the screen. Remember that you should be seeing, you should be able to see the whole screen. Mile, are you able to see where FSD is?
Yes, I can, but when it comes to notepad, some content is known. I'm not seeing it.
In the notepad.
The notepad window.
Okay.
Now I can see it.
Okay, thank you. So this was the entire notepad, button type. So what's the difference between the button and the input type submit? With button, you can go ahead and even program it, which message should come. You can put your bigger message inside here. But here under input type submit, it will put submit query. Unless if you put there value attribute and say value is equal to register. See, either value or name. Let me first see. Okay, you see, the button has changed to register. So this button here, so you can use button or you can use input type submit. All of them will bring you a button for submitting. Now, members, I know we don't have much time. These sessions are supposed to be like 30 minutes. There's something that I want to tell us. We are supposed to make sure that our form is organized. You see, this form is not organized. Things are like this, things are just disorganized. So this is what I was telling us last time in our lesson about tables, that you can use a table to organize your form well on the web page so that it is easier. But before I talk about that, there is something that I think I've forgotten. That is about the checkbox. So checkboxes also. Let me use this one on tutorials point. So I think I'm going to share. Let me share with you this link of tutorials point. This is the PDF. I'm sharing it in the chat. Those who want notes, you can be able to open it. It has some quick notes about forms and how they work, hidden form controls and other things. It was about HTML forms. Yeah, but should be able to get all what you want. So what I want to talk about before we complete is the they are here. There are very many. We may not even manage to do all of them. We have input type date. Let me just let me just try out a few of them more here. Let me first. So I'm going to have, before registration, I'm going to say input type date. So date, so input type date. If you want to capture dates, you can use input type date to, you see, it is going to, even it will bring this date picker. If some people are entering dates and years, like someone entering date of birth, don't tell them to enter their date with the, don't tell them to enter date in a text box. So you can say input type date. Okay. Then we have input type. They are all on W3 schools. Input type checkbox and input type data. And there is input type password. Input type password is also very good. Let me, to save time, let me just put all of them and then we are going to see. There is input type email, hidden. There is input type password, URL. Some of these are good for validation. If you say input type email, it means it will not allow someone to enter. Like if you are capturing emails, if someone puts in a wrong email, it will refuse. Then input type password, it will hide the data as it is being entered into the whatever. Number will only allow numbers. So members, when you get time, Tel will want you to get telephone numbers. And there is this one of input type color. So the main thing is for you to understand these main ones. Input type submit, I talked about it. And then there is the input type reset is also a good one. A reset is for I'm going to display all of them and you're going to see I'm putting them here. Reset is for clearing the form after submitting one person. So after I have done my input type register, I can also put input type reset to reset my form, remove whatever someone has entered. So they are here on W3 schools. Yeah, so you can try them out. Now let me just run what I've done. I'm going to end on these ones. So I can have input type checkbox. Input type checkbox is similar to input type radio. So I can put my F and then my M. And then someone can check. This is good for fields where someone can be both. So for example, if I say what thing can someone be both? Maybe if someone likes football, volleyball, someone may be able to select more than one what? More than one sport. Okay, so you can use a checkbox there. Someone needs to select more than one. Then input type color. So what I'm going to do here, let me just put these labels here. So I have input type color. How does it do? color, input type email. These ones are very important forms. So if they bring input type file is for uploading, if someone is to submit a file, and then password. Okay, color, I finished it. So let me end on those ones. So let me show you how things are appearing here up. So I have date, I showed you color. It will bring a color picker in the browser. So that someone can select a color that they want. So input type color and then submit. Input type email, in case I put in something which is wrong, it will refuse. Once I try to submit, it will say email wrong. If I try to submit, you see, it will say, please enter an email address because I said input. So it is good if you are to validate, then there it will allow. Then file will allow you to upload a file. So you can see when I click on it, it brings options for me to upload a file. Then password, whatever I type will not be seen. Password, whatever I type will not be seen. It will be hiding it. Then the reset button, once I click on it, it will clear everything I have entered in the form right from the start. That's the input type reset. Whatever you have typed inside, say reset, it clears them so that you can enter another person. So this is a very good quick overview of forms. And I would like to encourage you to try out. We need to get, I think, Mr. Dumba, you can be thinking of some good assignment. There was that paper of 2017. It had a good form. I think I have it there, but I don't know. I don't know where I don't know how I saved it there. Practical. It is UCE Computer Studies Practical 2017. You name. So, and be able to help. I think I've got it. See, on shareability, depending on how you search. So the problem was the spelling of the word studies. I'd used the computer star, wrong spelling in studies. So that's why I was not getting it. So by changing the search to practical 2017, I managed to get it. So this paper here was having a number. This number was having only, I think, 2 pages. So they can set in such a way that they want you to do a website of 5 pages, or they can even set to do one web page, like the numbers Mr. Number is setting. One web page when it is testing a particular item. And that is also how Cambridge sets HTML. They don't set necessarily for a learner to do an entire website. No, they set a learner they test the learner on a table, on a form, on these things, whether the learner really knows what he's supposed to do. So to wrap up this lesson, I'm going to connect last lesson and this one, and just show how can we make an organized form when it is connecting both a table and when it is connecting both a table and a what and a form. That's what I'm going to try to do here, and then we shall be concluding on that aspect. Meanwhile, let me see if there are any messages in the chat. Yes, so far.
Moses has a question.
Moses.
Moses' hand is up.
Yes.
So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My question is about the password field.
Yes.
We've always been worried about filling in the usual password we use on other things, thinking that maybe the designer of the website can somehow access the credentials or the details of the password. Tell me about that, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to the password field, The password field helps in hiding the password when you are entering. It just helps in hiding the password when you are entering. But if it is that password is to be more protected, then when it is being submitted to the database, it must be hashed. It must be hashed also. It must be like encrypted using PHP. PHP has some functions for encrypting the password. Don't store it. Otherwise, here, input type password will just make it that when someone is entering the password here in the browser, maybe you're in a cafe logging into your Gmail, there is another person nearby. So Gmail, when they are designing their password entry field, they will not say input type text. They will say input type password. So you see here, if I say input type text, and then I go the other side, I'm capturing the password, and then I go this side and I refresh. Someone will see my password, you see? So it's not, so if you are capturing a password, then use input type password. It is similar to text, but in this case, it hides the text within the browser. Yeah, but when it's being
So in
submitted to
other words,
database,
my
you must
question
do to
is,
encrypt more.
my question is there a possibility of the person who designed the website to know or to access that website, that the password?
Yeah, now good website design and principles of web design, passwords are supposed to be encrypted when they are being submitted to the database. But you should not trust every website. You never know, another website may capture and save your passwords in plain text without encrypting them, and that means your password. We have seen some scenarios of some websites where user passwords have been hacked. That means they were saved not in an encrypted way, and that means, yeah. But ideally, I didn't want to go into PHP. I have here also a form I did on my WAMP in PHP, and I encrypted the password. But I don't want to go in that. Maybe Mr. Domba will organize for us. I'm very sure Mr. Domba is learning PHP. I've been following him on Twitter. Maybe after this, we shall also, because by the way, we are teaching learners not only where the syllabus ends, we're also teaching them DIT, we're also teaching them clubs. And when they go for competitions in clubs, they do real programming, they do apps, they do PHP. I was at Kololo when the science fair was on. Kids came when they are speaking PHP. So maybe at some point we shall also look at, we'll have another session on PHP, and we shall learn more about passwords and how to encrypt them. Yeah, but for PHP, that's all. For HTML, this is all it can do. So members, I'm seeing our time has gone. So this was UNEB 2017. I've managed to get this paper from Shareability, and it wanted only 2 web pages. And if I look at this number, they organized this number in, I hope members, I don't know if members, you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see clearly.
Okay. This number was, they organized this content using a table. There is a table which is helping to structure. And I was saying the other day that the 1996 web pages were using tables to organize their layout. So this number, what a learner had to do was to look at how many rows are in here. There's a row here, there's another row here, there is another row here. This is the first page. Then it was just supposed to create 2 tables and then put in the first table, just write some words within the cells. In the second table, you were supposed to put in a form within the cells, and then do, we talked about table background color. Can change some background colors, and then you are good to go. So this was 2 pages. So such a number, if a learner is using a web authoring software like, for example, WordPress, and he doesn't know an HTML, he will not pull it off because it will be complicated for him to easily do this. Or if he's using Expression Web, or is using Dreamweaver alone without knowing some HTML, it will be difficult because these web authoring softwares, they just help to design, if I want a table, rows and columns. But if we go in deeper, deeper configuration and customization of what we want, then underlying HTML knowledge is important. So even if you have taught your kids web design using Publisher or WordPress or Dreamweaver or whatever, and then you enable sets for learners to do one web page, when it is complicated with a number of things requiring their knowledge of HTML, then your learners will not make it. So that is what the new curriculum is going to really test, because you are testing competencies. You shall test learners to do these websites, but they should also be able to know that they can be able to build web pages correctly. So for now, let me try to do, I'm seeing time is going, so I'm going to be a bit fast since we have already passed through the form. Let me try to create a table. I'm trying to create a form which is within a table. So for now, that other UNEB of 2017 is your assignment. This paper here is your, maybe Mr. Numba will also modify another, but for now, this is also one of your assignments. You try out. I've shared with you the link. You can download it on Shareability there. So for now, let me just organize this form. I'm going to organize this form, which we have created. I'm going to organize it using what? Using a table. Let me just remove some of these things and I just leave a few things. These other things down, let me remove them. Let me just leave input type register. And then let me just, since time has gone, let me just have a few things here and then I organize it in a form. Okay, so this is my form. Okay, so this is my form. I'm going to organize this form here in a better way. So in a table, I'm going to interleave a table. So previous lesson we said, so this is my form. So I can have inside my form, I'm going to have a table here. I can have a form outside and a table inside. So then I'm going to have, in a table we said we have a what? A TR, isn't it? So this is a TR. Okay. So inside the TR, I'm going to have a TD. That is one column, and then I have another column. Okay, so I need only two columns. So this name, which was in a paragraph, I'm going to put it inside a TD. I remove this paragraph here. Then this placeholder, which this input box, which says enter name, I'm going to put it inside this second TD. Okay, so I have this name, this is a column, this is another column. Okay, so this knowledge here was important. So you can see my work is coming out. So I'm having, let me have this where this is my form and this is my table. Okay, let me first close my table down here. Okay, so this is my form, this is my TD, it's my TR. Okay. Okay, so this is the so far what I have. So I have name and then enter name. They are beside each other. This is in one box and another box. For now, for you to understand it well, let me put a border, but I'll remove the border later. The border is equal to 1. So we talked about border, and then I also talked about cell. Last time we talked about cell spacing. And I said you can make it 0 if you don't want the cells to appear. So this is my table. This is how it is appearing. I have this side name, and then I have here. And Mr. Dumba told us about width. Width is equal to 100. Let me say width is equal to 100%. Okay, so you can see I have my name, and then here enter name. Okay, I'll remove the border later. So let me just use that. So I'm having that. Members, are you okay? Should I continue?
Yes.
Let's continue.
Okay.
We continue.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to, hey, I don't know whether members are seeing what I'm seeing. Okay. So I'm now going to just get another row out of this. I'm going to get another row out of this. I duplicate, and I get my address. Okay, and then I put my address here as my placeholder for this other text box. So that one works well for that. This one I remove this paragraph. And then I'm going to get another row of the table. And this time I'm getting the stream. I put it in this column. Then these other inputs, I'm going to put them in the second cell of my table. So that's why I'm putting these other inputs. Okay. Let me see how it is coming out. So you can see I'm organizing my form in a better way. Name is here. Address is here. Stream, then I have my streams. Someone can choose. So I'm trying to organize my form. So as my layout. What else do I need? So I no longer need this. Then I will have my other row. TR is a row. Okay. Okay, so type of payment. And then I will be able to do my select. And I put it inside this other TD. Okay. Okay, this type of payment can go for holidays. Okay, so I have something like that. So the reason why it's like this is because I had given it a size attribute. So if I remove the size on the select, then it will become a drop down with not a select box. Yeah, so it becomes a drop down now. If I remove the size attribute on the select element. Okay, then I have another row. I have another row. I can put it here after this row. This row is going to be for submitting and for resetting. So I'm going to put my submit here. I put my submit here in this other cell, and then my reset in the other cell. Okay, so you can see I have organized my form. I have my register and my reset, and I can decide to remove the border. I can say border 0. Okay, so and I remove my border 0, and I have my thing without a form. I can change this one to 50% or 60%. If I wanted to capture, I can center it. I can center my form. I can do many other things. This is what we looked at last time. Okay, I can give it a background. I can do everything. So you see, I have used I've used the table organize the form in a better way. And someone can enter his details, his address, select whether it is Airtel. Someone can say reset and everything goes away. Or someone can be able to register and submit the data to the database. So members, going to end here on this particular section. And I want members to challenge you to go and to download this paper and try out this. The colors, we talked about them in a table. So this number actually, it does combine a table with a form. This number web design 2017. The best package to do this number was Notepad++, not WordPress, not what was the best here was HTML. But even if someone uses WordPress, you see, for me, I'm my WordPress ambassador, someone could still switch to HTML view if that is what he was using as his editor, because WordPress allows you to switch. So the best web authoring software, if you are to use to teach learners, it should be one which allows learners flexibility to switch to HTML editor in case there is need. Don't use the publisher to do websites. And in the new curriculum, there is both publisher in senior 3, there is publisher there, and then there's also web design. So teachers who have been using publisher, please stop, because publisher is not a web authoring software, it is a desktop publishing software. Publisher does not give learners flexibility to switch between HTML and design. They will just go to design as if they are making business cards instead of making a website. So it's better to use HTML editors like Notepad, Dreamweaver, Front Page, Expression Web, and also you can also use WordPress. And I have uploaded some of these on this web page. You can open it. I've just been updating it here. I've uploaded most of those software on this link, shareability.net/software. There is Expression Web there. There is all of them. There is WordPress. There is W3 Schools offline. Also, I'm going to be putting. So you just click on the link. So Expression Web is also here. You can download it. So you don't say that because like Expression Web, you can no longer get it anyway on the internet. It is Microsoft no longer gives it out. It is, but it still works well, and it is also in the new curriculum. They mentioned it somewhere here. It's there. Yeah. So I'm going to put some of those software on this link, shareability.net/software. So you can be able to download some of those. Every software I find people need, I'll be putting it there, and I can download. So Mr. Dumba, I think let me end there for now. Members can try out that number, and they download it.
Thank you so much, Rogers. Maybe we can welcome a few questions before we sign out.
Okay, members.
Any question from the members?
Members, let me hope I was not very fast
Rogers,
towards the end. You can be able to ask something and clarify a bit.
I think they are fine. I'll send the assignments tomorrow in the group. Oh, still, the secretary asks about submitting data. And then he says we can organize a PHP lesson. Rogers, do you think we can have a PHP lesson?
We can have something on focusing on a form and how to submit data to the database. We can organize something. We can organize it maybe after some time, because after filling in this form, how does data go to the database? Maybe, you never know, members can attend and get, I can organize like a simple form and show it how data can be submitted to the database through PHP. Focusing on that,
Yeah,
maybe it can be able to be done.
Okay, yeah. So let us first master someone insists we first master HTML. Next week we shall be having CSS. And then after Christmas, we are having WordPress as we prepare for WordPress and everything. Thank you so much, Rogers. I beg that we end this lesson here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.